And here we go. We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be normal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, Atlantis.
Water towers fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside FD off. Bring in FD off. Off. It's orange!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage.
Look at this!
Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
The methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You dead? Sure. We don't need any more of these.
Welcome to another NSF live stream and the second in what it will hopefully be a triple header of Falcon 9 launches today. You are looking at a Falcon 9 at Slick 40. Do not get confused by the tower. It is not 39A. You can tell by the other towers, the Lightning Towers. So hopefully tonight will be, like I said, the second of a triple header. You're looking at Starlink 6-45 with 23 Starlink V2 mini satellites on board. And we here at NSF are doing our thing for the second time today. Well, really third, because we had NSF Live too. Anyways, I'm hosting today's stream. I'm Jack Beyer. And joining us for commentary, as always, is our ever competent cohort of co-hosts, starting off with Ms. Julia Bergeron. Julia, how are you doing?
Hi, Jack. I am doing wonderful. It is a beautiful night here on the Space Coast. And if anybody saw Max's shot from earlier, those blue skies are continuing into blue hour right now. And I am looking forward to a launch.
Blue hour, you say? Well, I have questions, and I'm sure so do our viewers. So if you have any questions, type at NASA Spaceflight in chat, and we'll see those pop up and maybe answer them. Sorry, Julia, I cut you off.
Well, I was going to say maybe not so much blue hour. We'll call it dusk. And I'm sure we'll get a question about what happens at dusk later for you to cover.
Exactly. Also joining us for commentary is Mr. Trevor Sesnick. Trevor, how are you doing?
You know, it's just another day where SpaceX is being crazy and breaking all of their records that they just broke a few weeks ago. So I'm excited to be here. We have some exciting things to talk about, I think.
Indeed, and I guess we'll just start right off the bat with the issue of the timing of tonight's launch. Julia, are we hoping, expecting, pleading with the rocket gods to see a jellyfish tonight? What do you think?
I would say if it launched right now, I would 100% say we'd probably see something really cool, but we're launching in just under an hour, and I don't think we're going to get the jellyfish everybody's hoping for. I'm so sorry. But every night launch is beautiful.
That's true. The timing of the jellyfish effect is a very specific one, and every now and then you'll get some kind of unexpected jellyfish. I've seen some really interesting plume interaction during the day even, but it's most spectacular when it's timed exactly right with sunset. Alex is saying in our back channel, maybe moon jelly? Is the moon up yet, Julia?
I do not see a moon. Give me a few moments and I'll research when the moon rises. But I have not heard Max get super excited about a potential moonshot. So let me check on that and get back to you.
That makes sense. Thank you, Julia. So, Trevor, this is going to be, hopefully, with today's launch of 645, the previous launch today of Eutelsat, and the coming launch out of Vandenberg later tonight, hopefully a record-breaking day. Talk to us about this insane cadence that SpaceX is pulling off and some of the interesting things that you've been able to derive.
Yeah, so I guess first we can go over, in case you guys weren't listening to Alex earlier, who also covered a lot of the stats. So on Eutelsat, that was SpaceX's 300th recovery attempt, and that was a new quickest turnaround of 39A. So it's now sub 1 week turnaround, joining Slick 40 and Slick 4 East, which is exciting. And then if all of these launches go as scheduled, this will be by far the quickest SpaceX has ever launched 3 launches. I believe the previous record is right around 20 hours, and now it'll be closer to 5 hours. And real quick, we should probably mention, it looks like launch has slipped to 9:30 p.m. Eastern, so just a little bit of a delay, but we'll update that clock in the top left here momentarily. Anyway, back to your cadence. Yes, I have enjoyed going over this data and wrote some code to, try to understand how many launches is SpaceX realistically going to hit this year. So Carson,
You wrote code?
I somehow I wrote code. By some miracle, it works too. So
Nice.
Carson, if you're able to bring that up. So here is all of SpaceX's launches per month from 2020 onwards. You can see, right, in 2020, when they weren't launching as much, they were peaking at about 4 launches a month, sometimes even 3, which now that's a day for them, up until this month, which, as you can see, they're currently scheduled to be 13 launches. And that will, as you can also see from this, blow the record out of the window, as the previous was 10 Falcon launches in a month. So that got me wondering, like, with this, slow incline of cadence, what's the number of launches that we can expect SpaceX to conduct this year of Falcon? And it turns out, if you follow the second order projection, so I have first order, second order, and third order, and I think second order is the most reliable for reasons I won't get into. This is currently predicting SpaceX will launch about 143 times this year. However, I'll say that I think, if anything, this is probably a little bit too low, because if you look at my trend line for this month in March, it would predict around 11 launches, and they're hopefully going to be launching 13. So as of right now, it looks like SpaceX is on track to reach that 144 launch goal, assuming that they have no major problems with the fleet.
That's absolutely astounding and a really great way to visualize it. Thank you, Trevor. For once, I won't yell at you for liking math. Good deal. Well, Julia, can you tell us a little bit about this specific booster and what's going on with its recovery now that we sort of have a bird's eye view, thanks to Trevor? A Trevor's eye view, dare I say?
A Trevor's eye view. Well, let me take a deep breath, because with each of these launches, we have more flights under our belt. So tonight
Right.
we are launching B1067. This will be its 18th flight. Fun fact about this
Nice.
booster, it has landed on only drone ships, and it has also landed on all 3 of the currently operating drone ships. How cool is that? Let's see. Our
It's
first
really cool.
flight,
It's completed the drone ship hat trick.
the hat trick of drone ships, because Of Course I Still Love You is now by you. But we started our first flight with CRS-22 in June of 2021. We did Crew 3, Turksat, Crew 4, CRS-25, 8 Starlinks, and the rest were commercial missions. The most recent mission was only, you guys, February 20th. So like a month ago. So I'm seeing these boosters come back more and more to port way faster than they used to, and getting turned around, which is super neat. So basically, to summarize this booster, it has made 4 flights to the International Space Station, carrying 6 humans and 2 loads of science. I think that's neat, Jack.
Nice.
Um,
That's a
So
whole
if we-
bunch of science.
that's a whole lot of science and a whole bunch of astro mice. So,
Nice.
we are flying our traditional southeasterly trajectory tonight. So, if you basically are Orlando going down south along the coast, you may see this if you have clear skies like we do. And that drone ship is stationed. Our drone ship tonight is a Shortfall of Gravitas, because if you remember correctly, you just saw a booster land on Just Read the Instructions. We are 614 kilometers downrange, and fairing recovery with Doug would be 670 kilometers downrange. Fun fact, Signet Warhorse and ASOG just made the fastest recovery that we are aware of from booster landing into port, which was just about 50 hours time period.
Wow.
So if you want to talk about ships that haul, I would say Signet takes the cake.
Nice.
Is that enough facts
Well, you're
for you?
answering. That is an excellent amount of facts. You're answering questions as you went, so I just put questions up in the ticker as you went because you're just ticking them off. So perfect. Thank you. Also, I do want to really quickly say the moon. We in our back channel, the moon is not rising until after midnight, so no moon jelly, alas. But either way, still should be a spectacular launch with the nice clear sky. And did I forget to mention Max and D at the start of the stream? Max and D are out there, and they will both be tracking the launch with various cameras. So I think I did forget to mention them. Thank you to both of them for being out there. Not going to be on commentary, but also Carson is operating the stream.
Yeah, you forgot
Go ahead,
Carson.
Trevor.
Or Carson.
Poor Carson, Max, and D. I'm a terrible person. Nobody should like me.
Hey, Mac. Hey, Jack. I got to correct
what's
one
up,
of my
Julia?
facts. I got to correct one of my facts. I
ahead.
don't know why I was thinking 3 people in a capsule. Maybe I'm thinking back to, I don't know what, but probably the Apollo era. There were 8 humans that went to the International Space Station on this booster.
Got it. Thank you for that. We do have another fleet-related question for you. Matrix is asking, will this be 3 boosters on 3 ships at the same time? Has that ever happened before?
I do believe this is the very first time that not only are all 3 out there, but all 3 would complete a hat trick of recovery if all 3 boosters landed on them. That is correct.
Yeah, it's happened many times before, though.
Really?
I could go back on spreadsheets and tell you, but that would probably take a bit of time.
Fair enough. I guess this is the first time it's all happened at the same day versus, various launches happening on a couple different days and then the boosters being on the drone ships back into transiting back into port. So
I
neat.
would say it would be safe to say they're all probably still going to be at their respective recovery zones at that time. Yes.
Wait, so what happens, Julia, at the port of Canaveral when both drone ships come back in at the same time? Like, there's going to be a recovery traffic jam at the port.
Well, not yes and no. I mean, okay, so there's a stand at the port that traditionally the boosters are swung over onto, but with the upgrades for Falcon 9 Block 5, they upgraded the landing legs a bit. So guess what? You can actually secure the booster with Octograbber, as it is when it comes back into port, and fold up the legs with Octograbber underneath, hook up a crane, and lower it. So in theory, Jack, I haven't seen it happen yet, but in theory, with port now having 2 cranes that can handle a booster, we could see 2 drone ships dock side by side, 1 booster on the stand, 1 booster, right next to that.
That's going to be pretty spectacular.
On the drone ship. Wouldn't it, though? And actually, now that I think about it, if the one is on the stand, I can almost guarantee you that other drone ship is already booted out of port, because that's the cadence we're going on right now.
Absolutely wild. Alex on our back channel is saying they don't come in at the same time though, because Signet Warhorse is so much faster. But that either way, that makes sense. And this will, as RC Horseman said in chat, this will be interesting to watch on SCL and interesting to see photos from you, Julia, photos from Max and D, and everyone coming in when the port is just jam packed with boosters. You'll love to see it. Let's see. Mark W., thank you for the support. They say, finally an NSF stream. It's been so long. Bideford, thank you, Bideford, for being amazing and gifting 10 Red Team memberships. If you got a Red Team membership, be sure to thank Bideford because she's awesome. And RC Horseman, also awesome. Also gifting memberships, 5 of them. If you got one from RC Horseman, be sure to thank them. And enjoy the member perks that you now have access to. How cool is that? So we really, I feel like the expressions like, SpaceX steamroller or wow, SpaceX is firing on all cylinders, like whatever idiom or metaphor or expression you want to use about SpaceX just absolutely killing it with their launch cadence. Today, more than I think anything for me personally in recent memory, it really illustrates the fact. Trevor, this is just nuts, isn't it?
Yes, I think, kabonkers or whatever term you want to insert here is a good way of putting it. Because I think going back even just a few years, I think 2018 only had on the order of 150 to 180 orbital launches or something like that. And not that much later, just 6 years after that, SpaceX is hoping to hit, a similar number just in Falcon. So SpaceX is launching more than all of China. They're launching more than basically the rest of the world combined, right? I think this launch is going to be the 61st orbital launch attempt of 2024 and SpaceX's 31st mission, not including Starship. So their steamroller is it's crazy what they're doing.
Safe to say it is rolling steam.
It is rolling steam, it is rolling everyone, and I would be terrified if I was a competitor of SpaceX's right now.
It's rolling media, for that matter. Think of how many times that Max is out there, and now we have D. Thank goodness we also have D to relieve Max, because when would Max sleep at this cadence? So I am fortunate and so happy to say for Max that D is out there, and we get such incredible imagery from D's imagination. So I'm excited.
Yeah, fantastic addition to the team. So Max stays sane, and so we can get that amazing imagery that D produces. So, yay, team.
One other thing, if you don't mind, Jack, that I think is somewhat interesting.
I always mind when it comes to you, Trevor, but I guess I'll allow it this one time.
Yeah, so so there are 2 other stats. Well, there are lots of other stats that I like to track, but 2 of those are, I like to look at average turnaround time of boosters, and then I also like to look at, for each launch, how many times on average has the booster flown per year. So right, if it's like, if every booster flies 11 times, then the average is 11, whatnot. And in previous years, so in last year, each booster launched, the launches per booster on a flight was 8 times. So in general, we were seeing a -8. When this year, it's already up to -11. Almost up to -12. So that's a pretty substantial increase. And right, we've seen that today is going to be what I believe the 5th booster to reach this 18 flight mark. It was first 58 and 60, and then 61 and 62 later. And then going back to the turnaround time average, this year the average turnaround time has been like 54 days, which is the lowest ever. Last year was 74 days. The year before that was like 90 days. So it's even though we're still not seeing these super rapid turnarounds like we know they're capable of, the average has been a decent amount lower purely because of how much they've been launching.
Just absolutely outstanding. I mean, so many that a booster can get to 18 flights is crazy in and of itself. That when Julia was rattling off all the missions for this particular booster, and 8 Starlinks, that's just 8 launches that we're not even batting an eye at. It's absurd. Not to mention all the people of the ISS and everything else it's done.
What I think puts it. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Julia.
I was going to say, and to be honest, I don't know how many times I will actually make it to port in time to get a booster selfie at this point. Because if you do not get there the same day that the booster gets there, there is no guarantee that you're going to catch it on your way to work or on coming home from work the next day.
Right.
It's absolutely insane how well they have gotten at turning up those legs and getting it out of port.
Yeah.
It's really wild, and you know what? It's sort of like a sad end to an era of you getting the mandatory booster selfie with every booster. Speaking of, if y'all aren't following Julia on Twitter, you should be, because I live for those booster selfies. But yeah, I mean, at a certain point, it just is impossible to keep up, or you have to accept a horizontal booster selfie, which doesn't really quite hit the same. Anonymous gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you, Anonymous. And I want to be really careful here. Bullet Hole Shooter, thank you for the support. They say, what is the update on Delta 4? I was just 15 miles away when it scrubbed and have not heard anything further. Trevor, you want to give us a Delta 4 heavy update, or should I throw that to Julia?
First of all, good job getting the name right this time. Second of all, yeah, as of right now,
I'm so mad at you. I'm so mad at you right now.
As of right now, Delta 4 is currently scheduled to go on April 1st. I believe Tori Bruno had posted on X something along the lines that they reached a point in the countdown where they had to reset due to weather being red, and then some pump wasn't working, so they had to scrub the launch attempt, and then they also had to scrub the launch attempt from the next day. So now it seems like it'll be on Monday, however, subject to further delays. We all know the legacy Delta 4, especially Delta 4 Heavy, has left is a scrubby rocket.
It is a scrubby rocket, so well, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Go ahead, Julia.
Jack, now would it be a Delta launch? I mean, as much as I was hopeful, right? Would it be a Delta launch without a scrub?
No.
I mean,
and you know what? I'm not even mad that it's scrubbed. Mostly because I'm not there, but also because that's just how it goes. That said, I am mad because with the go no go poll on our live stream, I got super hyped up and actually somehow deluded myself into thinking that it might go on the first try, and it was like Lucy pulling the football away from Charlie Brown, just like all over again.
Actually, can I give you a moment of what it was like at the press site at that moment?
Yeah, please.
Literally, there was a moment of disbelief at the go as we were listening. We were all huddled around our phones listening to the countdown net and the go no go poll, and it was a go, and we all kind of stopped, looked at each other, and said, "Well, I guess we're doing this. Holy cow!" Hugs, and I think everybody kind of had that deep breath and a little tear kind of going. And like you said, it was like Lucy pulling away the football from Charlie.
Yep, that's just how it goes sometimes with rockets, especially
lost me there.
Especially
Sorry.
Delta.
Yeah.
No, you're good. I think we have you back now.
Sorry. I pushed the wrong thing.
Fine.
It wasn't you.
No worries.
But yeah, so
perils
we're
of
looking forward
being
to
in the field.
Yeah. The good news is though, Tori got back to me and they'll get cookies in the control room this time because I have time to bake it and drop them off. So Maybe that will be what we need to get this gone.
Nice. Hopefully the cookies bring luck. They definitely bring deliciousness, so either way they're
Yeah.
appreciated. Trevor, Chris P is asking, how often are their Merlin 1D engines flying? I know one engine has flown 22 times. I mean, we talk a lot about boosters being reused 18 times or a number of times, but is it just because we don't have that much visibility into Merlin reuse? I mean, I assume the majority of engines are reused over and over and over again.
Yeah, so unfortunately, we don't have that much insight into this. You know, I'm sure SpaceX somewhere has a database of all of the fairing halves, all of the engines and whatnot, and I would love for SpaceX to just make that public. And I know they wouldn't for so many reasons, but I want to analyze that data. But yeah, I'm not sure, you know, where that 22 flight number that you're citing comes from. I think we can confidently say that an engine has flown at least 19 times at this point, since they have boosters at -19, and my understanding is that it's pretty rare for SpaceX to swap out an engine. Oh, Alex is saying it came directly from SpaceX. I guess I missed that. Yeah, it's not super common for SpaceX to replace these engines, and as that figure that SpaceX gave us shows, you know, sometimes they'll swap out with an engine that has flown more. And one other thing that I really would like to know is what engine slot, you know, say that 22nd mission engine is on. Because my guess is it's not on E1, E5, or E9, as those are the engines that are used for both re-entry and landing burns. So my guess is those engines are probably swapped out a little bit more, and then the other ones are stay on for most of the flights, but we unfortunately don't know for sure.
You know what?
Interesting. At least we have that. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, hey, Jack, you know, I was just thinking, remember back in the day, this is a back in the day thing now. Static fires used to be a more normal thing, right? Before just about every flight. And it used to be that the indicator that they may have changed out an engine was that a booster had maybe flown maybe 5, 6, 8 times, and then there hadn't been a static fire for 3 launches. All of a sudden there was one, and it wasn't like a crew mission or a CRS mission or something like that. And that used to be kind of our, we think they swapped out an engine or two. Because maybe the night before it had scrubbed or something like that. I would love to know how many of the engines on 1058 were the original engines, because I'd hazard a guess that almost all of them were the original engines.
Sorry, talking while muted. Ooh, I'm told we have a new print from our very own Maximilian. I don't know if I'm allowed to call him Maximilian, but I'm gonna, because we love him. Look at this. It's the classic flag shot with Falcon 9 from earlier today launching Eutelsat. Beautiful work, Max. Absolutely fantastic. If you want to grace your wall with Max's hard work, is that a bird in there too? That's awesome. Then you know where to go. Shop.nasaspaceflight.com. Seriously, Max, I'm golf clapping because I don't want the clap to come through on stream, but I'm golf clapping right now just for you. Good job. Let's do some more questions. And as a reminder, if you have questions, feel free to throw them in chat at NASA Spaceflight so we see the questions pop up. Trevor, this one's all you, buddy. I don't know if you have the answer, but I'm going to throw it your way because if anyone does, it's either you or Alex. Gwen Ever is asking, how many Falcon second stages are still in orbit and which ones have been there the longest? I feel like this is like the extra credit question on a very hard quiz.
Oh boy.
Do you need time?
So my guess let me. So all of the LEO missions, I believe, even from the start, did deorbit missions, but I'm not sure about Falcon 1. So it's very possible that Falcon 1 second stages are still up there, which Alex is actually saying the first Falcon 1 second stage is still up in space. So that was from 2006. So that's nearly 20 years ago. And then, right, most LEO missions have a deorbit burn, especially a Falcon 9. I think most GTO missions do not. Any like interplanetary missions obviously do not. So, how many GTO missions has SpaceX has? I think around 55, plus then a few straight to GEO, plus, one from Falcon here or there. My guess would be about 70 second stages in orbit.
Nice. Fantastic answer. So I guess the oldest one would be the Falcon 1 second stage from Flight 4, according to Alex, which would have been 2008. Quite a while. Mercury and Metals is asking, theoretically speaking, what if Falcon 9 was Methalox? Well, it would be a completely different rocket. I know that might sound dismissive, but really, I mean, the tankage would be different proportions. There'd be a lot of things different about it, and it would basically be a different rocket. It's not just a matter of slapping a different engine on and filling the tanks with different cryogenic liquid. That's what engineering is, right, Trevor? It's all about different trades, and if you make those trades for different fuels, it's going to be functionally just a completely different rocket.
Yeah. SpaceX did a study on this of what about putting a version of Raptor on the second stage, since Merlin has fairly low specific impulse. What if they had something more efficient? And as we would have expected, it basically came back of this would be a ton of work to change, and the benefit would be fairly minuscule. So it really makes sense, right? You kind of want to choose your propellant first, and then once you've selected your propellant, you start designing your vehicle around that. And right, we saw this with Starship, where in the very, very old days, Raptor was originally going to be Hydrolox, and then then they switched over to Methalox, and that changed the design of the vehicle a lot. And then, of course, as they've actually started building the vehicle, the design has changed even more. So fuel is something that you want to choose at the start, not something you want to choose at the end.
Yeah. Good way to put it. Julia, I'm going to give you this one this time. Outdoors Man Show is asking, for musical wolves, what are those 4 towers?
What are those 4 towers? Well, a thing we have here and a thing we have a lot of here is lightning. Those are our lightning protection towers, and boy, do I appreciate that classic question that even has a YouTube video to explain it.
Yeah, we do have a video all about the towers, so mods, can we spam that in chat, pretty please? Thank you, mods. We love you, mods. Matrix is asking, what comes... Go ahead. No, go.
I'm sorry, Matrix. Your question is important, but I am at a restaurant right now on the shores of US 1, absolutely flabbergasted by how many people are coming out for this now second launch of the night, because it is beautiful, because it is a holiday weekend, and it is spring break here. Like, how exciting is that for a Starlink? I'm just saying. But go on with the question. I'd love to hear it.
No. Suffice to say, guests have been flabbered. It's absolutely crazy, and like you said, the fact that it's a holiday weekend, and the fact that there was a launch a few hours ago. Hopefully, people were like, "Oh, darn it! There was a launch. We could have gone and see it." And then like, "Wait, there's another one." So that's awesome. I love to hear reports like that from on the ground, and it gives me fond memories of shuttle days, and the sheer volume of people that would come out for that was really a hoot. We get the same vibe here in Starbase before a launch too. It's like when there's a big crowd of people and a rocket about to launch, the excitement, like the collective excitement, it I don't know, it builds. It absolutely adds to the experience. Okay, so Matrix is asking, what comes first? 4th flight of Starship or 20th flight of a Falcon booster? Trevor, what do you think?
I would bet 20th flight of a Falcon booster. B1060 reached that, or sorry, it was B1061 reached that in February. So if you assume that, average turnaround seems to be 40 to 50 days, that could make it basically any day now that we could be seeing the 20th flight. When unfortunately,
Wow.
Starship's 4th launch is not any day now.
What? Soon. Julia, what do you think? 4th flight of Starship or 20th flight of Falcon booster? What comes first?
20th flight of Falcon booster, because at the cadence we're doing right now, like you said, it's probably any day now. And I can remember being on a stream and we were talking about this very subject about when would we hit our first 20 flight booster. And I actually took a screenshot. I said about 90 days from that broadcast, and 90 days from that broadcast is April 2nd. And I distinctly remember Alex kind of laughing at me, and I really want it to be very close to April 2nd because that would warm my heart.
Alex, laugh? Let's see here. November N939NN is asking, what camera settings would you need to do a long exposure during the day? Does SpaceX use an ND filter? Asking since I saw some daytime streak shots from them a couple of launches ago. Yes, you absolutely need an ND filter to have your shutter open for like 2 minutes or whatever it takes to get a full streak. So yeah, you need like an ND 10,000 or something along those lines. Even if you're all the way stopped down in F22, if you have your shutter open for like 2.5 minutes or whatever for first stage burn, you're going to get an all white frame during the day if it's bright out. So yeah, need an ND. And Julia is saying you need an ND even at dusk. Go on, Julia, explain.
Okay, so the last time I came out for a launch last week, as a matter of fact, in the very same location I'm at right now, I totally blew it because it was dusk. And I totally thought, I'm at F22, I'm just going to do like not even all the way to second. No. It was the most blown out garbage. Garbage.
Oh, it happens.
So I didn't tweet. But I now have an ND 1000 filter that I'd like to try at dusk sometime. And but yes, Jack, what's the formula for nighttime streaks though? Because I want to say, when I first came here, that was the easiest thing for me to learn. So can you share what your formula is for a nighttime streak?
I wish I could say I had a formula. That implies far more coherence than I feel like my shooting style is.
How about I give you?
It frequently depends on where I am and how far away I am and a whole bunch of things. But camera, tripod, long exposure. Go ahead.
I'll offer up the formula that tends to work for me for the best coast, because no matter where you watch from here, you don't have a very far away mountain view. We're pretty flat land, and just about anywhere along the coast is great to watch. So if you have a camera that you can set to bulb and use a shutter release, you want to do ISO 100. You want F16 is generally pretty good. I am 12 miles away from the launch pad right now, so I'm using F16, and As Mike Seeley told me, leave the shutter open all the way till landing. It's not going to hurt anything. That's pretty much the formula on the Space Coast.
Nice.
Oh, and
I love Mike. He's such a gem. Go ahead, Trevor.
For those who may not know, definitely not including myself, since I'm a professional photographer, what is an ND filter?
I'll let you take.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to hit that. ND stands for neutral density, and it is a filter that you can put on front of a lens that knocks down the amount of light that is entering the lens. So the other thing that Julia was talking about was ISO, which is how sensitive the camera sensor is, or if you're shooting film, if you're that cool, like Hagen, then how sensitive the film is. That's ISO. So 100 is typically the lowest a digital camera will go. Sometimes you can get some film that's like ISO 50. And then there's also the F number, or the F stop, which is the lens itself has an aperture on it that you can open or close to let in more or less light as well, which changes your depth of field, the amount of the frame that is in focus. It's not side to side, but think Z axis, like depth, how much depth you get before blurring happens. Anyways, a lot of lenses, especially wide angles, will only stop down to f22. For whatever reason, it's an inverse thing with the f-stop. So f22 lets in far less light than, say, f2.8. So even during the daytime, f22 is not enough to stop enough light coming in that you'll get like an all-white image. So you need to have a neutral density filter or an ND filter to aid the camera in being able, because basically at ISO 100 you can't get any less sensitive on the sensor. At f22 you can't get any less light through the lens's own aperture, so you need to put some other controlling device on the front of the lens in order to get the proper exposure. Does that make sense?
You say math is complicated. Math is so much simpler than that.
I'm glad that I can deal in the land of cameras and not the land of math, because for whatever reason, it just makes sense to me. But there you go. There's your photography corner for this launch. I'm excited, Julia, to see the imagery that you and Max and Dee all create from this launch here in just over 46 minutes, hopefully. Six String Simpleton is asking, which do you think will happen first, 2 million subscribers or boots on Mars? Trevor, this is all you. Mr. Graph.
Well, I would be shocked if it wasn't 2 million. Boots on Mars seems like a long ways off.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, if we hit 1 million in 5 years, hitting 2 million in 5 more years would be insane. I don't necessarily expect that. But do you think it'll be longer than 5 years till we have boots on Mars? I guess, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think we'd be somewhat lucky to have boots on the moon in 5 years. Like, that seems like a tight schedule, let alone Mars.
Fair. All right, well, as we are ticking down the clock here at T-minus 45 minutes to go, let's take a look at the timeline. And Trevor, why don't you run us through it?
Sure. So yeah, as of right now, SpaceX is still targeting 2130 local for launch, and that will be confirmed here in about 6 minutes when SpaceX's launch director will verify that they're go for propellant load. So that's when that's the last moment where they could move in this window. This is a fairly short window. In today's the window for today's launch is pretty short. I believe it's only about an hour, so they would only have like 1 or 2 more backup opportunities. So once they're into propellant loading, they will not have more time. So then after that, assuming that they're all go for propellant load will begin at T-minus 35 minutes, where RP1 load will begin on both stages, and liquid oxygen load will begin on the first stage. At this point, not a whole lot will happen until our favorite T-minus 20-minute vent, which is when they'll start purging those lines ahead of filling the second stage with liquid oxygen. This is done because on the second stage they only fill one propellant at a time. So they only fill RP1, and then once that's complete, then they start loading liquid oxygen. Whereas on the first stage, they load them at the same time. Then at that point, let's see, then stage 2 LOX load will begin at about T-minus 16 minutes, and then shortly after that, about 10 minutes after, Falcon 9 will begin its engine chill. So this is when they run just a little bit of liquid oxygen through the turbo pumps of all 9 engines on the first stage, and that helps cool them down so that when they start to ignite the engines at T-minus 3 seconds, the liquid oxygen doesn't just instantly boil, which could severely damage the engine. And then at that point, at T-minus 1 minute, the flight computers will begin their pre-launch checks in an event known as startup. So that's when the countdown is transitioned from ground, from the GSE and ground operators to the vehicle itself. Also at this time is when propellant tanks will begin their pressurization for flight. And then at T-minus 45 seconds, LD will verify their go for launch. And then at T-minus 3 seconds, the engine controller will command ignition to start those 9 Merlin engines, which will be in pairs about 100 milliseconds apart. And then if all of those engines and the entire vehicle look healthy, then hopefully we'll have the second Falcon 9 liftoff of the day. It looks like Jack may be talking while muted.
I was 100% talking to absolutely nobody because I was muted. Thank you. And thanks for the rundown there, Trevor. Also, thank you to Coco Cats for gifting a Red Team membership, and to Wayno for upgrading to Launch Director. That is excellent. Thank you so much, Wayno, for that support there. You get your name at the end of NASA Spaceflight Live, in addition to all of the other sweet perks that you can get, like Discord access if you didn't already have it. I'm not sure if you were upgrading from Capcom or what, but that's where Discord access starts. So enjoy all the BTS content. In fact, for NSF Live, we have started doing a pre-show and a post-show that is available to Discord members. So if you want to enjoy the pre and post shows along with us as we very calmly and collectedly get ready for streams and very professionally chat about things after the stream, then there you go. Enjoy the that new little perk that we've recently added. We haven't done it for every NSF Live, but we're trying to do it for every NSF Live. So yeah, pre-show, post-show, it's a thing. Me is asking, not on topic, but when will Starship start launching Starlinks? It's kind of on topic. Not till after Flight 4, at least. Right, Trevor?
Yeah, so this was actually some clarification that we got from Gwen Shotwell herself after Flight 3. And she was saying that Flight 4 will be basically a repeat of Flight 3, so no Starlink satellites will be on board. Then Elon further on X added that the main goal of Flight 4 is to have ships successfully survive the maximum heating of reentry. And unfortunately, we don't have at least I don't have a great idea of at what altitude that roughly occurs. I know for shuttle that happened, I believe, in the 70-ish kilometers in altitude. So I think 75 to 60 was the period of maximum heating, and then comms blackout was from 80 to 55 kilometers or something like that. I'm not the shuttle hugger, so if that's slightly off, ask Chris. He'll know way more about it. So it's hard to know, is that roughly similar to what Starship's profile? Because if so, then they made it to some of the higher portions of reentry, or higher heating portions of reentry, while being in the wrong attitude, which to me makes me think that Starship is probably going to do quite well re-entering when its attitude is successfully controlled for. So anyway, back to your actual question of when Starlink on Starship, my guess would be at this point probably Flight 6. So have Flight 4 be, testing, basically a repeat of Flight 3, try to do all of that successfully, and then, make any changes on Flight 5, demonstrate those, and then do a Starlink mission on Flight 6.
Nice. Yeah, hopefully SpaceX can start lofting the big boy Starlink V2s, not just the minis, which we are seeing 23 of launch tonight, hopefully in about just under 38 minutes. Laura Duel, thank you for upgrading to Capcom. Awesome of you. And Nick, also becoming a Capcom member. Hop into Discord, say hey, and next Friday, tune into NSF Live for pre-show and post-show shenanigans. Hidden Force is asking if all the parts of B1067 have been replaced, is it still B1067? Or is it... This is like a Booster of Theseus question here. Trevor, let's get philosophical.
Oh boy. Well, the good news for us is SpaceX doesn't perform that substantial of refurbishment. At some point, if the tanks are need to be replaced or anything, they'll just expend the booster and build a new one, right? We saw that SpaceX was going to do this even with B1058, where we think it was going to be expended on one of the next flights, and then they lost it in the ocean anyway. But I don't know. The Ship of Theseus question is taught in every philosophy class for a reason.
Julia, do we still have you? What do you think?
You still
We might not have
me.
Julia. Oh, yay, we have you still. Yay.
You have me. Remember how I said there were so many people coming out? My signal is not 5G. So I apologize to everybody if I turn into a robot. To answer that question, wow. In my mind, it is still that booster if its shell is still there, showing all of the burn marks and scorch from all of the previous flights. So you can replace the engine, but you can't take the heart away as long as there's scorch on the booster.
There you go. I would agree with that. Me with another question asking, when will Falcon 9 be used for an expendable launch? Are there any expendable launches on the books? Those have become, thankfully, really rare for Falcon 9. Trevor?
There is, I can't remember when it is, but there's one next month. Alex is saying there, yep, Alex confirming there's one in April. Let's see if he says what it is. Let's just all wait for Alex. We can see how quickly
He's typing.
He types.
He's like
We're giving him way
MSF
too much
Google.
power.
We don't know
He
which
really
one it
is.
is. I have my theory. He's typing more.
He has his theory, and I have my
This is really
theory
compelling.
that it'll be
What's your
it'll
theory?
be the first 20th flight booster, whatever it is, which means we'll be probably fairly close to that April 2nd. Within 2
We
weeks
may
of
have
it,
the
I
launch of
bet.
Galwa around the second half of April.
Oh,
Interesting.
but I bet it's a 20 flight.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Oh,
Just at that point.
Galileo. Sorry, I'm so used to Galois theory in math that I just read Galileo as Galois.
Yeah, I was gonna say something, but I also was not confident in the pronunciation. Like you said it so confidently. I was like, well, surely that's how it's pronounced. Trevor knows something I don't, as usual.
No, it's this thing.
Yeah, ew. Don't post math in the back channel while we're live. Gross.
But you know what
Galois
I saw
theory
in the
is
back
really cool.
channel?
What'd you
I
see?
saw in the back channel that SpaceX is confirming that we are about 35 minutes from a launch.
Excellent.
Launch time.
That's exactly what we want to see as the clock continues to tick down. Computer Wins, thanks for becoming a Pad Rat member. And Chihuahua Mom, aw, I want to know the Chihuahua's name now. Thank you for being a Pad Rat, becoming a Pad Rat member. I got all discombobulated because of the Chihuahua. Matrix, this is off topic, but really quickly, Matrix is asking if this is going to be the last launch of Delta entirely or just Delta 4 Heavy. Last launch of Delta entirely, not tonight's launch, but the upcoming final Delta 4 Heavy that we don't know when it's going to launch yet after it's scrubbed. Let's see. Y'all, keep your questions coming at NASA Spaceflight in chat, and we will see your questions pop up. Because if we don't have good questions, then Trevor might have to start talking about Galois theory. Ew.
Yes, it's really cool. You know how there's like the quadratic formula, the like minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, that thing?
Wow,
Did you-
I had a graphing
did you just-
calculator that remembered that.
Well,
Did you just do a sing-song of the quadratic formula?
yeah, that's
Like
how I learned that.
I wasn't aware there was a song.
There is. I learned that freshman year of high school. Anyway, one may wonder, like, all right, is there a cubic formula then to get the zeros of any cubic solution? And yes, there is. Is there one for fourth degree? Yes, there is. But at fifth degree, there is not. And anywhere above that, there is no formula. And Galois theory is used to prove that.
I understood the word theory and prove and that. That's beyond that. Thanks. Yeah. Back channel,
Well-
Ryan is asking, can we mute Trevor? I can't, but Carson can.
So,
I never thought I would
viewers,
sing that on the stream.
welcome to the NSF version of Schoolhouse Rocks. I hope you learned something tonight.
Suzanne Young becoming a Pad Rat member. Thank you for that. Enjoy the perks. River Dave is asking, how many total Starlink satellites are currently in orbit? And we can do the bonus question here and say how many are operational versus just in orbit. You know, some of them are still raising their orbits because it does take time for them to do that.
Yeah, so SpaceX has launched, as of right now, not including the launch in 30 minutes, 6,077 Starlink satellites. Of those, 5,677 are in orbit, 400 have been deorbited, and 5,610 of those are working, and 5,162 of those are in their operational orbits. And I think that's actually something interesting. If I remember correctly, tonight's launch will put them at over 1,000 satellites in Starlink Shell 6. And that will be, I think this is also one of the last Starlink Shell 6 launches. Starting next month, there'll be Shell 8 launches and Shell 7 launches.
Nice. Yeah, 6-45. Does that mean there's literally been 45 Shell 6 launches? That's insane.
No, it's a little bit fewer than that because they missed a few. Let me check. There have been, I think there have been 46 actually. I believe tonight's will be the 46th.
Neat.
Yeah.
Somebody named Trevor Sesnick is asking, what is Galois theory? But we're just gonna move on. Nice try. Anthony is asking, why does SpaceX send so many satellites into space? I mean, it's a good question, but that's sort of how Starlink works, right?
Yeah, you can either have very few satellites in very high orbit, and that's what the geostationary constellations are, and those just have horrible latency, or you can have many, many satellites in very low orbit, and that's what Starlink is, and that's what allows them to actually compete with terrestrial services like Comcast, which, yeah, I really, really hope that SpaceX at some point is able to put Comcast and other ISPs in a place where they actually need to compete, but that's a different conversation.
No, and it's valid. And also, to your point, if you do, oh, we got some condensation coming from the booster there as they are loading propellants onto it. Excellent. But yeah, to your point, when you have like a small number of megalithic satellites up in geo or what have you, that the latency is terrible. But not only that, that one satellite is going to cost so much money and is going to need to be on station to recoup that money over a long period of time. And so then you enter into a situation where all of the technology advancements that are possible are not utilized because, you don't know how they work in space, or you just don't have a timeline where those things get rapidly deployed. Whereas something with Starlink, it's like if SpaceX wants to add laser links or change some aspect of the design to increase bandwidth or throughput or whatever it is, they can just make another version of the satellite. We're already on V2 Mini and launch those with whatever latest cutting edge, bleeding edge tech. And, they're low Earth orbit satellites. They're, I think, relatively cheap to produce, although that I'm out of my comfort zone a little bit on. But point being, you can get more rapid advancements of technology through this method as well, which I think is neat. It's all part and parcel of SpaceX iterating rapidly with everything that they do.
Plus, I don't think it would be an exaggeration to say that I don't think any constellation like Starlink would be possible without Falcon 9. Falcon 9 may still be listed at $70 million or whatever for customer launch, but internally, I wouldn't be surprised if Falcon's launch cost is, much, much less than that. I don't know how much less. Like, is it possible that Falcon is like $10 million for SpaceX to launch? I have no idea. But with SpaceX building satellites in-house and having these super, super cheap launches, I think that's the only thing that's really making Starlink possible.
Yeah, absolutely agree. In a similar vein, Anna Perkins is asking, what is the anticipated lifespan of a Starlink satellite, and will they just keep sending up more in a never-ending replenishment program? I think that's a pretty fair way to put it. Would you agree, Trevor?
Yeah, so Starlink V1 has a 5-year on-orbit lifespan. It seems like maybe it's a little bit longer than that, right? I'm sure SpaceX has gotten a bunch of data now that they're up there, and maybe the 5 years was, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, not as much as it could be, just like what we see, conservative, just like what we see with, all of JPL's projects, where they say this Mars rover is going to last 18 months, and then 10 years later, it's still operating. I don't think it's going to be that extreme, but it's definitely possible that that's a conservative estimate by SpaceX. Unfortunately, we don't have a super good idea of what the lifespan of V2 is. It's possible it's the same. It's also possible that SpaceX has increased that. But at some point, we'll start seeing SpaceX having to replenish some of these V1 satellites with these V2 mini satellites.
And also another question from me. Are there any V1 sats left in orbit? There are, right? As you were just alluding to?
Yes, I believe so all of the V0.9 satellites have been deorbited, but they still have several hundred V1.0. My guess would be on the order of 1,000.
Every time I read this person's name, I think of Chris Bergen saying the word meme. Anthony Body becoming a PadRat member. Thank you for that. Enjoy the members-only perks that you now have access to, including members-only emoji. How do we not have a Starlink emoji yet? We need a Starlink emoji. I'm going to do some Star Hoppers because it's got star in the name. Robin Furbrush, thank you for upgrading to Red Team membership. And Jonathan O, Johnny O, thank you for the support there. They say, I'm driving over to Titusville from Tampa. Where's the best place to watch? If only a popular spaceflight broadcasting channel had done a video about that exact thing, right, Julia?
Exactly what I was thinking. And you may not have time to watch that before this launch because we're fueling. So the short answer is anywhere along US 1 in Titusville is a great spot, or up on the Max Brewer Bridge, which is the north end of Titusville, works as well. You'll see all the cars pulled over on the side of the road. Anywhere is a great spot. Just look east.
Nice. Trevor Elliott Slater is asking, why does SpaceX load the second stage fully if the performance isn't needed? But it is.
Yeah, these Starlink missions need every drop of performance in Falcon 9 that is available. And we've seen SpaceX going as far as, making what in the grand scheme of things are fairly minor adjustments to the trajectory to increase performance. We've seen them slightly decrease the temperature of propellant to get a little bit more performance out of the vehicle. We've seen them doing everything they possibly can so that they're able to get more Starlink satellites on in that payload fairing. So on these Starlink launches, there's absolutely no spare performance at all. And SpaceX has continually talked about how they want to get more and more performance out of this. I believe the VP of Starlink at SpaceX had mentioned that by the end of the year they want to increase the number of satellites to 28, and they're at 23 right now. So they need all the performance they can get.
Good deal. Yeah, is that Kiko?
No, Kiko is VP of Falcon Launch. I think it's Chad Gibbs, if I remember correctly, is VP of Starlink.
Nice. I just have to take a second to say I'm so thankful that more SpaceXers are being more active on Twitter with information like that. It's awesome.
Yeah, let's see.
Speaking of awesome, we're about to see the T-minus 20-minute vent. So Trevor, why don't we go over the timeline again and you can tell us what we're looking at as that vent starts up right now.
Yeah, so that's a wonderful indication that launch is still on track for that T0, as from exactly when that vent starts, it is 20 minutes and 20 seconds to launch. And as you can see from the timeline, and as I mentioned earlier, at T-minus 35 minutes, only RP1 begins being loaded onto the second stage. It's not until T-minus 16 minutes that liquid oxygen begins loading onto the second stage. So what SpaceX does is, ahead of that liquid oxygen load, they cool all of the pipes down and make sure that there's no leftover gases that they don't want to enter the tank in there. So they purge them with liquid nitrogen, and that's this venting that we see, is that purging being done. And then when this vent is complete at T-minus 16 minutes, liquid oxygen will begin flowing through those lines into the second stage tanks.
Nice. So everything continuing as expected, which is exactly what we want to see, as we are under 19 minutes away from 23 more Starlink V2 mini satellites getting blasted into space.
2 terabytes per second more of bandwidth for the constellation.
That's absurd. Bob Short becoming a Pad Rat member. Thank you, Bob. And thank you to all of our members. We could not do what we do without y'all. I mean, NSF Live, a Falcon 9 launch from 39A, a Falcon 9 launch from Slick 40. Like, all in one day. And Johnny O, thank you for the super chat. They say, thanks, I'm nearly to the bridge. I hope you're not driving. I hope you're in the passenger seat and somebody else is driving, or you handed your phone to somebody in the passenger seat. Please drive safely, but either way, I'm glad you are not, like, still in Orlando or something. You're almost there.
You're almost there, and I guarantee you are going to have a beautiful view of launch. So just drive careful, please.
Indeed. Daniel Weilert, thank you for the question here. They say, how many flights on these fairings and which one has flown the most? Julia, it's kind of hard to track the fairings, right? Because we don't get official information from SpaceX, minus the occasional tweet here and there. But what do we know about these guys?
I was just going to say, the only way we know is if SpaceX tweets, like, right after the landing. And what I do miss, Jack, you might appreciate this. Remember when they used to kind of do hashtags of sorts on the fairings? We used to try and catch them as photographers at the pad. It would designate whether it was a catch or a water landing back when we had Mystery and Mischief. I miss those days. I want hashtags on boosters and fairings so bad.
Give us a little QR code or something. Like, the photographers love stuff like that. Like, oh, did you get it? Oh, I got it.
That would be awesome. I mean, we don't wipe boosters down, but you could use isopropyl alcohol to put on a QR code. That'd be so cool.
That would be cool.
If the database of all of this Falcon stuff ever gets released, which it won't, we need to do like a 5-hour stream of Alex and I just going through it and having our minds blown.
We'll need to have like EMTs standing by at both of your locations, so like as you hyperventilate, they can resuscitate you, and then we can get right back into analyzing the data, and then like 20 minutes later you'll hyperventilate again. But we'll make do. I mean, with member support, we can make it happen. John Smith is asking, do we know what happened to the engines on Booster 4? No. I think they're still on the aft section, but I'm not positive. Either way, no Booster 4 Raptor V1 sightings. Elliot Slater is asking, do you think we will see the autonomous drone ships leaving port with no tugs anytime soon? Julia? What's going on with that?
Oh, hell. Do we ever have a video for you about that topic, too?
We make a lot of videos here.
Yes, one of Ryan's passions is the same as mine, and it's the fleet and recovery. And I really do encourage you to look up that video on our YouTube channel. The short answer is no, I do not see that happening anytime soon, nor do I see a fourth drone ship coming to the fleet. The video explains it in depth, but autonomy is a very new technology to seafaring. We recently had an accident, right? A very unfortunate accident involving a cargo ship and a bridge. And that is one reason why autonomy is being studied very closely by the U.S. Coast Guard. Why it might be a good idea to have humans on board or have humans still monitoring your vessels. So please go look at that. Short answer, no, not anytime soon. I'm sorry, guys.
Good deal. Well, you know, SpaceX tries to do a lot of things, and many of them are successful, and some of them need to cook a little longer, or sometimes it's a regulatory agency or what have you that needs to catch up, I guess, with what SpaceX is trying to do.
Well, you know what? It goes back to a lot of our regulatory laws regarding seafaring vessels were made with humans in mind, with humans being on board, which means the communications is actually the biggest catch in the whole deal. Radio communications. So if everybody on the water could have Starlink, maybe we could solve that.
That would be nice.
Oh, sorry.
You
my,
okay?
My little squeak. Yeah. I have a camera set up, and somebody just walked past it, and now they're going to be in my shot.
Oh, that happens.
Do I go tell them to please just be as still as they can be, and then they can be in my shot? And they'll have a unique keepsake. How about that? Julia's.
I mean, hey, that's the way to go with it.
Yep.
All right, go do that. You have far more patience than I do. Daniel is asking, Trevor, why would they not use 2 or 3 engines on the booster? They're asking you specifically, Trevor, so have a good answer.
Why would they not use 2 or 3? Oh, vacuum engines on booster. I was like, why would they?
Right.
Well, that wouldn't be anywhere near enough thrust to get the vehicle off the pad. Right. With all 9
I think they mean like in addition to the standard Merlins, I guess. That's how I would interpret the question anyways. But please,
Okay.
Cook.
Well, just 2 or 3 engines wouldn't be anywhere near enough performance to get them off the pad. The reason why the vacuum engine has higher thrust than the sea level engine is purely because of the pressure difference in the atmosphere. So as the stage ascends, because you gain that 1 extra bar of delta pressure between the combustion chamber and the atmosphere, you can actually be a little bit more powerful and a little bit more efficient. And that's why all engines are more efficient in a vacuum than they are at sea level, even regardless of the bell size. But then why not just add 2 or 3 more? Well, keep in mind, Merlin couldn't actually be fired on the sea level. You would have what's known as combustion or flow separation on the nozzle, which is where the pressure is too high of the surrounding atmosphere that it kind of pushes the exhaust away from the edge of the nozzle. And what that does is it can start creating some pretty severe vibrations in the nozzle as that pressure has some oscillation. And then that eventually, if left unchecked, can cause the entire engine bell to crack.
Yeah, and suffice to say, that would be bad. Julia, are you back? What did you make a treaty?
Absolutely, I done did. I have a subject that will be in my shot, and I have educated the folks around me that they should be watching the re-entry burn, and I bet I have some new friends that'll be getting some NSF patches in the field tonight.
Nice. I love it. Martin, thank you for gifting a Red Team membership. Very cool of you. You know what is also very cool? Falcon 9. As we can see it continuing to get nice and frosty as we are just under 10 minutes away from launch. Hooray! 23 more Starlink satellites, that much closer to being shot into orbit.
Number 2 of the day.
Julia, what's the vibe on the ground right now? I mean, the crowds are coming out. The sky is nice and clear. Give us a little bit of a situation report before we have to say goodbye to you so you can do camera stuff.
I think people are quite excited. You know what I'm going to do for you, Jack? I'm going to shoot a really quick picture of just where I am to give you an idea of what the coast looks like up and down US 1. How about that?
Nice. Thank you. We'll see if we can get that posted up on the stream there. Trevor, Jose is asking, how many Merlin engines can SpaceX build today? I think Jose might have finally been the first person to ever beat Alex with a longer name than Alex.
Yeah. I don't know if we really have a good idea as to the build cadence of Merlin engines at this point. Because I'm sure that their theoretical max capacity is way, way above what they are actually building. Since, right, they obviously need to build, what, on the order of... so if they're planning on launching 150-ish times a year, you know, they probably want to be building 160, 170 Merlin engines a year, something like that, so they don't fall behind if they have any schedule issues, and as they continue to launch, increase launch cadence. Then on top of that, what I believe each year it seems like SpaceX has been debuting, let's see, on the order of 10 boosters. Last year was 9 new boosters, 2022 is 7, this year is 2 so far. So that's another 90 engines, so I would say they're only producing, you know, on the order of, what, 150 plus, so call it 250 Merlins a year, which is way, way lower than the Raptor cadence. Raptor is, I think Elon said multiple times that the goal was to produce 2 Raptor engines a day.
Which is just bonkers, but also makes sense because Starship uses a lot of engines.
Does.
I mean, and to be fair, so does Falcon 9.
9 is a lot fewer than 33 on that first stage, though. Especially when you...
That is true. 9 is... You know, Ooh, someone got Max's print. Nice. Thank you for doing that. If you don't know, when you get a metal print, a portion of the proceeds go to the person who shot the image. So Max just got a little bit of money from that sale, and I know he appreciates it because all of this gear and gas and time is not cheap. So seriously, thank you for grabbing that. For speaking as a photographer, not the one that took this image, that was Max once again. It's so appreciated. You know, if you're willing to put some of our work on your wall, that is the ultimate compliment. So thanks for doing that. Victor is asking, what happened to the Falcon Heavy? Nothing. Falcon Heavy still exists. Do you mean Delta Heavy? It's scrubbed, and we don't know when it's going to launch.
Currently Monday.
But Falcon Heavy's still around. Trevor, when's the next Falcon Heavy?
I think not for a bit. Let's see. I think next is Goes U, which is no earlier than June 25th, 2024. So we have a few more months still of no Falcon Heavy, which honestly, I know we all love Falcon Heavy. I mean, I don't think we think it's as amazing as we did at first now that we have Starship, but we still love Falcon Heavy, but it does kind of destroy SpaceX's launch cadence. So in some ways, from a pure launch cadence perspective, it's kind of nice that there isn't one for a bit. And then I think what next spaceflight says is there could be up to 7 Falcon Heavies this year, but a lot of those are no earlier than December 2025, so if you use the burger rule, that's 2026. Oh wait, sorry, only
the burger rule?
Only 3 this year.
Got it. That's still crazy. Speaking of crazy, Apocalypse Cow, thank you for gifting 5 Red Team memberships. And speaking of not crazy, Julia, should we send you off at T-minus 4 minutes here so you can do camera things?
Sure, Jack. I would love. Yeah.
Oh, we might have lost
I'd
you.
love to do some camera things. No, I'm still here. I'm looking forward to joining
Yay.
you again
Great.
after launch.
Excellent. Well, we'll see you on the other side. Thank you for being on commentary so far. Good luck with the imagery, and yeah, make some art for us. All right, Trevor, where are we at in the old timeline here?
Yeah, so at T-minus 3.5 minutes, a lot of those events that we've talked about will be completed. So the second stage will now be fully filled with RP1, and closeouts of liquid oxygen and RP1 on the first stage are upcoming. Yeah, so in about 5 seconds, we should have LOX load complete on stage 1. Stage 2 LOX load goes for a little bit longer just because it's not used until later, so to keep it as cold as possible. Then at that point, the big item that we'll be watching out for in 2 minutes is Falcon 9 entering startup. And that's when the launch vehicle itself takes control of the countdown. So instead of the ground operators issuing commands and whatnot, and that being from mission control, it's all on vehicle. So this is also the time where, very rarely, but sometimes aborts are thrown during this transition. Like, I don't know if y'all are old enough, I can't say that. If y'all have been around long enough to remember the first launch of Falcon 9 Block 5, Banga Bandhu, that had an abort thrown at T-minus 60 seconds. But anyway, we'll probably move slowly through that. But we now have confirmation that Stage 1 LOX load is complete, and any second here we should have confirmation that Stage 2 LOX load is complete.
Excellent, and that confirmation comes along with a similar vent to that T-minus 20-minute vent that we always see. The T-minus 2-ish minute vent, right, Trevor?
Yeah, I can never remember what the exact time is on it, and I think it varies a little bit more depending on the launch than the T-minus 20-minute vent does, but it should be any second here. And we have confirmation that Stage 2 LOX load is complete.
Sweet. 1.5 minutes to go. Just 30 seconds away from Falcon 9 entering startup and taking control away from mission control and utilizing its onboard computers. Really quickly, Tony Z, thank you for the 5 Red Team membership gift. Kim Ledoux, thank you for the support. And Johnny O, thank you for the support again. They say, thanks for the great info. By the way, full self-driving was driving. Okay, well, I'm glad you made it, and I'm glad you made it safe. And thank you to everybody for all the support. Here we go. T-minus 1 minute. Falcon 9 is now controlling things from its own onboard computers as we get ever closer to launch. Trevor, how are you feeling?
I'm excited, especially since this is launch 2 of the day, and there's another one in, what, I think about, yeah, exactly an hour from now is when 7-18 is supposed to launch. So it's just crazy that this is real life and not Kerbal.
Absolutely. Falcon 9 is in startup, and we are go for launch according to the launch director. So here we go. T-minus 20 seconds or so. Keep your eyes on the base of the vehicle there for that green flash. That is the T-tab, triethyl borane, triethyl aluminum, that is used as the igniter fluid. T-minus 10 or so. All eyes on the base of the rocket. There's ignition. And liftoff of Falcon 9 carrying Starlink 6-45. 23 more Starlink V2 mini satellites on their way to space. Let's listen in. There we go. We got a vehicle assembly building squeal. And Falcon 9 is passing max Q. Absolutely beautiful. You can see the exhaust plume from Falcon 9 is expanding as the vehicle ascends into thinner and thinner atmospheres. What a gorgeous shot.
I love at night seeing the little bit of blue in Falcon 9's exhaust.
Right. Yeah, there's some blue, there's some purple, some red. Like it can be an especially gorgeous plume with the right conditions. So what is up next, Trevor, in the launch timeline?
Yeah, so up next, we're coming up on the sequence of 3 events that on these Starlink missions are performed rapidly, in rapid succession. So first will be shutdown of those 9 engines, and oh, there we go, there is shutdown of those. And then now we'll see stage separation, which is where both of those stages will separate, and then shortly after, we will see second stage ignition, which looks like we just caught the tail end of it on our camera, and here is it now on SpaceX's camera. So as we can now see,
I need to, Carson. I need to know whose camera what camera that was, because that was an amazing track. Anyways, Trevor, please continue.
yeah. So as we could see,
Yeah, they still got it. They still got it.
there's no ring stiffener as is usual now, and this is Max's shot, by the way. Max, just amazing work. Holy cow.
Max is the GOAT. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was, now that we're through first stage flight, that was SpaceX's 260th reflight of a booster, and 246th Falcon 9 flight with a flight-proven booster. So, kind of crazy.
Speaking of crazy, this shot here from D is also amazing. You can see the second stage plume so well. This is just gorgeous stuff. Fantastic work from the Cape team tonight. Just absolutely fantastic stuff. Second stage continuing to muscle those satellites into space. First stage on its way to the drone ship. Sorry, I'm just kind of at a loss for words. That was really beautiful.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
So what is up? Go ahead.
So with this launch, this is SpaceX's 12th launch of March, 11th Falcon launch. So that's a new record for the company of total launches and total Falcon launches in a month. And there's still a launch left.
Fantastic.
Sorry, 12th Falcon launch, 13th total.
That's what, including Starship?
Yeah. I just said one fewer than it actually was. Looking at my spreadsheet wrong.
Still tracking the second stage there with D's camera. Fantastic work. I know I keep saying that, but I mean, it's not trivial to drive out to the Cape, to set up cameras, to do this multiple times in one day. Just boatloads of appreciation here for the work y'all are doing down at the Cape. I can't wait till we have Julia back. I want to know if how her photo turns out. Is your shutter still open?
My shutter's still open, but I'd like to say hello, and we could still hear it rumbling, and the folks around me can still see that second stage with the naked eye.
Nice.
No zoom. That's how nice it is out here right now. That was pretty. I hope I hear the camera views that the team gave you were beautiful as well.
Oh yeah, did not disappoint. Still tracking second stage, which is just wild. That is not an easy thing to do. We still have 4 separate tracking shots from our cameras. That's just, you love to see it. Trevor, where are we at in the old timeline here? How long until we see the booster coming back? How long until the fairings are already gone, right?
Yeah, so fairing deployment was a T plus 3 minutes and 4 seconds. On these Starlink missions, it's basically as soon as they can, they want to get rid of those things since they then get more performance out of the vehicle. But we're currently in the entry burn, and that was actually what you just saw on screen. So that's when Falcon ignites 3 of its engines, the center engine and then engines 1 and engine 5. And that helps slow down the booster ahead of hitting some of the thicker portions of the atmosphere. So as you can see in the telemetry in the bottom left from SpaceX, before and after that burn, the booster is traveling significantly less quickly. So the next event for the first stage is at T plus 8 minutes and 4 seconds, so in just under a minute here, which is when it will ignite its single center engine for a landing burn, which will be about 22 seconds long. And shortly after that, second engine cutoff will occur on stage 2.
Sweet. I just want to point out, we're still tracking this second stage. This is Dee's camera. Roger is using one of our robotic cameras to track it. We're at T plus 7 minutes and 45 seconds. This makes me so happy to see. And I think that was Max's camera that got the entry burn. So just at the risk of sounding like a broken record, thank you, Cape Team. So here you can see on the left-hand side the velocity of the booster continuing to scrub off as it gets to thicker and thicker air and almost close to landing. We should be seeing that landing burn here any second now. Meanwhile, second stage continuing to pile on the velocity as it continues to shove those Starlinks into orbit. And there you go. There's the landing burn on the booster. Do we get a stable feed all the way down? I bet we will.
Yeah, it's crazy that there's so reliably get feeds through all of entry now.
Look, I'd never get tired of the nighttime drone ship landings. The blue color of the water is so beautiful. And that looks like a bullseye with a little bit of a wiggle on the booster there. But yeah, dead center.
So that is SpaceX's 216th consecutive landing and 290th total.
Just bonkers. I'm so glad we live in a time where there's a company just absolutely hitting home runs left and right in the space industry like SpaceX is. It makes me so happy to see.
And stage 2
and speaking of
shut down and is in a nominal orbit.
Nice. Speaking of things we love to see, that is an empty launch pad, which is exactly what you want to see on launch day. So, hooray! I'm standing by for Julia's photo. I really hope it came out. I bet you it's awesome. And we're also going to do some replays since we had such excellent views. So, stand by for both of those. In the meantime, Anonymous, thank you for grabbing something from the store. They say Discovery is the best. I assume they meant shuttle. But we're all shuttle fans, so that's okay. LEGO made a Discovery shuttle, so I guess Discovery is the leader. I mean, I like Atlantis, but if you have a favorite shuttle that's not Atlantis, that's fine. David Miller, thank you for the support. They say, appreciate the commentating. Well done. Thanks, David. Snot Garden, gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Thanks, bud. iFly, becoming a Pad Rat member. Thank you for that. Orange posting, it's orange. Thank you for the support. They say, I absolutely love that crackle. Chat, what do you love more, the crackle or the VAB squeal? Trevor, what do you love more, the squeal or the crackle?
Okay, not gonna lie, I still don't know if I've heard the VAB squeal. Like, everyone talks about it, and I still don't really know what we're talking about.
Are you kidding me?
I
it was audible on...
Yeah, I've never noticed it.
I'll have to send you a phone video I shot last time I was at the Cape. That we had a Starlink launch while we were waiting, multiple Starlink launches while we were waiting for Artemis. So Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you're listening to Taylor Swift too loud or something, but you should get your ears checked.
I don't listen to Taylor while I'm on.
I mean,
stream.
you like Taylor Swift music, so yeah, you should get your ears checked.
That's just called having correct opinions.
I mean, to be fair, I like it too. I'm just giving you a hard time. Ooh, we have a poll. Best sound, Falcon 9 crackle or VAB squeal? How is the crackle winning? Come on, Team Squeal.
No one else.
Let's get in here.
Liz.
It's there. I swear it's there. Everybody loves Team Squeal. There's dozens of us. Joaquin, thank you for the support. They say, where would be a good place to watch a launch from Pad 40? Love you guys too. Again, we do have a video on this, so we'll link that in chat if you want a full comprehensive answer. But Julia, do you want to provide the local perspective for old Joaquin here? Do we still have you, Julia? She might be editing a photo. Okay, yeah, her signal is having trouble. I bet you everybody out there right now that saw the launch is now trying to post their imagery on socials or tell their friends what they just saw, and thus the network is tanking. So, Joaquin, we do have a video on it. I think Cocoa Beach is a good spot for 40. There's various parks like Jetty Park, but it depends on what time the launch is because some of the parks close at different times. But yeah, check out that video for a better answer, or maybe we'll have Julia answer it again when she gets back, or you can scrub back in the stream because she did give an answer to that to somebody else a little bit earlier. Either way, thanks for the support. Chris McNellis, becoming a Red Team member, thank you. Bideford, holy cow, Bideford, with a $50 super chat. That's insane. They say to help Jack with more words. If anything, you're gonna remove my ability to have words. Thank you. That's incredibly generous on top of all of your already incredible generosity. So thank you. Aunt G, thanks for the super chat. Roseanne DeVasto, hi. Another one of those names we see pop up all the time. They say, hello, Julia, thanks. Love always keeps us together. Aw. Anonymous, are you there?
Hi.
Do we have you? Hi.
I'm here. I think enough people left that I have a signal again.
We have you
That
4x5.
one, you guys.
What was incredible about it?
Fabulous. Sharing it with people who this was their first launch. That is what was incredible about it.
That's always fun when you get to see people's faces like, what the heck? Yeah, that's a treat. Ooh, I'm told we have replays ready.
Ooh.
Oh,
I'm not
yes.
going to lie, though. Seeing the re-entry burn blew their mind.
Nice. I like to hear that. That makes me happy to hear. All right, it's replay time. You can see the live view still on the right-hand side, and, of course, the replay on the left-hand side. Which camera is this? This is the Max camera, I believe. Oh, look at the shockwaves in the plume. That's gorgeous. Yeah, this is the Max shot. Love to see it. All right, Trevor, listen for the squeal. Wait, I don't know. They might not have been near the vehicle assembly building. That might have been from the Cape mics.
I do not hear a squeal.
It hasn't happened yet. There.
I literally don't hear anything.
All right, well, we have more replays, so you're going to need to You're gonna need to bump your audio and listen more closely here.
Okay, I have it at 200%.
Nice. This is a fabulous track from Max. I don't have enough praise,
A lot of
but
people in
just
chat,
fabulous work, Max.
a lot of people in chat also don't hear it. I am wearing headphones, so I don't know. I think it's a lie.
No, stop. A lie? No. What's wrong with you? It's there. Wow, Crackle is totally decimating Squeal in the poll. That makes me sad. What doesn't make me sad, though, is this insane blue color of the plume. Just gorgeous. And there's engine shut off for the booster and stage SEP. And there is second engine ignition. Neat. All right, we're going to need to, hopefully some of the other replays have audio as well, because we need to nail down, I need by the end of this stream for you, Trevor, to say, oh, I can hear it. Otherwise, I'm going to be sad.
Telling me to go back to T plus 1 minute and 5 seconds.
You're going to do that right now?
Yeah.
All right, well, stand by. I'll read some support, and then I need you to come back and tell me whether or not you heard it. Anonymous, thank you for the store purchase. They say fantastic coverage. Oh, it must have been Coco Cats. Thank you, Coco Cats, for
Okay,
grabbing the Max
I heard
print.
it.
Oh, that's awesome. You heard it. Okay, see? It's not a lie. Can we get you on record as saying that it's not a lie?
It is not a lie, but it doesn't even kind of live up to the hype.
Are you serious?
Yes.
It's the weirdest, ethereal, creepy noise. It's a cool noise. It's not insanely loud or anything. What do you want? What did you expect based on the hype?
More than just the slightest hum that is high pitch.
Trevor.
Speaking
You know what?
of SpaceX with a sigh, except for my name, it's worth pointing out, just for those who may be following, the third launch did get pushed back a little bit. It is now 2054 local, so that is that's UTC -7. So what is 0354 UTC?
Thank you for that update. Here is a replay from D's camera. Excellent stuff. At some point, Trevor, we're going to need you to go to the Cape and watch a launch from the press site just so you can hear the squeal in person. Maybe that's what's coloring my approximation of the squeal, because it is absolutely awesome to hear. Gorgeous shot. You hear it?
No.
That's
I
the
don't hear
squeal.
it.
How do you not hear that? Beautiful shot from D and beautiful audio as well. Gorgeous. I love that we do replays now. You can see that plume really expanding. Such a beautiful color. It's orange. And it goes like red, purpley blue. Never gets old. Sorry if you can hear my dog barking in the background. She just decided to be fussy. There's stage SEP. Good stuff. And hey, if you noticed, on the right-hand side of the screen, the transporter erector lifted back into the vertical position. That's why we keep our cameras live, so we can see things like that. Here's a shot from one of our Cape cams doing, I think this one's doing auto track, or this one might have been Roger. Okay, this one is auto track. Nice. It's always interesting to me how you can see when the sound reaches the camera by the amount of shake increasing. Acoustic energy. Not to be trifled with. As discussed on this week's special episode of NSF Live with Dr. Phil Metzger earlier today with DAS. So watch that if you haven't. I like how the lens flare on this camera does an X for SpaceX. Oh, I spoke too soon. I'm still doing it. Just a beautiful night for a launch all around. Trevor, do you ever think rocket launches will get old to watch, like watching planes take off from an airport or something?
I mean, it depends on the person. Like, there are still people who go plane spotting and whatnot.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. I mean, I am also one of those people that enjoys watching planes, although typically not from an airport. But you know what? Everyone has their hobbies. I also like trains. Train spotting, plane spotting exists. I just wonder if at some point we'll get to a world where it's more of a niche thing. I guess it's already a niche thing. I don't know. I'm going to stop talking. Look how beautiful this view is. And there's main engine cutoff and stage SEP. Neat. All right, next replay. Fleet cam. This one's always a treat because you can really see how Falcon 9 lights up the night sky. Is it playing? There it is. So gorgeous to see the red reflected in the water. And it just looks like a star rising into the sky. Absolutely beautiful.
imagine
And it gives you
people, like,
Go ahead.
imagine telling people like a few hundred years ago that one day some 120-meter tall buildings would be flying like into orbits that they never fall down.
Yeah, if I had a time machine like Bill and Ted style, I would absolutely choose some choice individuals from history to bring to now and show them. Look, just blow some minds.
And yeah, 120 meters. I was alluding to like Starship and whatever, but Falcon is 70.
Thank you for that. And I think our next shot here is Roger tracking with one of our robotic Space Coast Live cams. Roger, fantastic work. And also, I'm sorry about the fireworks thing. It's just absolutely crazy that we have the infrastructure in place to where you can track a launch with one of our robotic cameras from across the country. You don't have to be in Florida. This is what we talk about when we thank members for their support and helping us do everything that we do. It's truly phenomenal. Don't have to only rely on people on the ground. We can also have people distributed across the world, like Alex in Spain, or Adrian in Germany, or Chris in England, or Roger in... Oh my god, I forgot where Roger's from. Oh, that's gorgeous. Yeah, from Earth. Neat. Okay, yeah, Roger's saying Chicago-ish. So, however many thousands of miles away from Florida, that's just wild. Oh, man. What a great night for a launch. All right, next up, I think we have a slow-mo shot from D, which always makes me happy. Keep an eye on the plume and watch as the sound hits the plume and causes condensation to sort of ripple. I don't even know how else to describe it. Also, I'm being told remote control of our robotic cameras has been tested even in Antarctica, which is insane. I love these slow-mo shots because you can really see, like, it just looks like Falcon 9 is absolutely clawing its way into orbit. Talloning its way into orbit? I don't know. You get it. Good stuff from D here. All right, now we have a Julia photo. Nice work, Julia. And I see the person. Okay, that if I was that person, I would be extremely stoked for this image to exist. Like, that's really cool. Amazing stuff. Trevor, beautiful launch tonight. Oh, and we have the re-entry burn.
I was gonna say and landing.
Nice. I cannot overstate how tricky it is to catch something like that. The conditions have to line up. It's not easy. When you're shooting with a super zoomed in lens, it's like looking through a straw to acquire a booster. So just fantastic work to our entire Cape team. Great job, Max. Great job, D. Great job, Julia. You'll love to see it. SpaceX firing on all cylinders, NSF firing on all cylinders. And that is in large part thanks to the support from everybody out there, our members, our super chatters Even the people who, if you can't contribute monetarily, that's totally fine. Hit the like button. Tell your friends about us. Watch the stream. We appreciate you all for allowing us to do what we do and for trusting us for your spaceflight coverage. Orange Posting, thank you for the super chat. They say, amazing to see the landing without the cams cutting out. Yeah, that's increasingly normal that we get views all the way down, and I am so here for it. Matt B. Fixes, thank you for the super chat. They say, will Starlink satellites be visible after orbit? I think was what they're asking. Starlink trains are still a thing, although a lot of that has been mitigated by SpaceX through various means. William, thank you for purchasing from the store there. What did they get? They say, need more patches. They got a patch. Nice. If you want a patch, I suggest you get them because they are limited in quantity. And once they're gone, they're gone. Jared, thank you for becoming a PadRat member. And Lucas is... How do I even say this? Lucas is cool? Sure. Thank you for the super chat there. Well, I think with that, we will wrap things up. Thank you again so much to D and Max for bringing us the live views. We'll see if we can get their socials flashed up there on screen so you can follow them on the Bird app. There's Max. We didn't even trash talk the stubby nozzle. For once, Max was not on a Starlink stream, and I didn't even trash the stubby nozzle. So that was just for you, Max. I played it nice today. Also, again, thank you to D for the slow-mo shot and the tracking shot and everything as well. And also thank you to Julia for being nice to people and getting cool photos with them in it, and for being a cool person and making delicious cookies and being the fleet tracker extraordinaire and everything she does. Also, Trevor, thank you for being on.
Of course. Hopefully, well, we're not streaming it, but hopefully there'll be a third tonight.
Indeed. Also, thank you to Carson for operating the stream. And thank you to Elisar for handling the socials. If you need more spaceflight, be sure to follow NSF on all the socials. We got NASA Spaceflight on Twitter. We've got NASA Spaceflight _IG on Instagram. There is a TikTok. I think it's like official NSF or something like that. If you're a TikTok person. Yeah, and there's a Facebook. And of course, there's the NSF site official with the forums and the news site and the articles and all that good stuff. Whole boatload of places you can get your info. Also, Next Spaceflight. If you're wondering when the next launch is, Next Spaceflight, a subsidiary of NSF Inc. I don't think we're in Inc. though. But either way, Next Spaceflight also exists and is awesome. So, yeah. I'm Jack Beyer. Thanks for watching. Y'all are the best. Thanks for the support. With that, we will see y'all nerds for the next one.
And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, roger, planet.
Water towers, fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside FD off. Bring in FD off. Off. It's orange!
145! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage.
What is it?
Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
If the methane would be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. Keep red. We don't need any more of these.